Welcome to Who's the Man? I'm George Jakovic, and I'm with three champions right here. Showtime, Shawn Porter, Paulie Malignaggi, and Chris Algieri. Champions, you guys are breaking down the junior welterweight division. Some call it the super lightweight division. You guys are giving the top three in the division. So let's get to it. So there's 17 weight classes in boxing. A lot of people think this is the number one division in boxing. Among them is our colleague, Tim Bradley. He thinks it's the best division in boxing. So, Shawn, we're going to start from number three. And your pick is a little different from everyone else. You've got Devin Haney as your number three pick. I don't want to spoil all your other picks, but you've got him above. You've got him below Regis Prograis. So he is, Haney is on a lot of people's top 10 list, pound for pound. He's the favorite going into the fight. They're fighting on December 9th. Why do you have him number three?
I'm actually going to renege. I know, like you said, you don't want to spoil my list. I'm going to have Regis Prograis at number one. I know that I didn't send that to you that way. Regis Prograis for the last 2 to 3 years has been my number one dark horse at 140 pounds. I feel like collectively he can beat just about anybody in the world, whether it's with his stinging power, his speed, his boxing ability, his ability to get guys off balance, just his technique and his grit and his might. He's been my dark horse for 2-3 years now. Teofimo Lopez just got there. Devin Haney literally just got there. So Haney's number three because he hasn't had a fight at 140 pounds. Simple as that. I understand what you've done, but I need to see you beat Regis. Once you beat Regis, yeah, then Devin Haney will more than likely move into that number one position. But I think it's too soon to coin him the number one guy at 140, even though he was undisputed at 135.
Well, Chris, before I get to your pick, let me ask you, Shawn, on December 9th, I know it's early, but who do you like in that fight between Haney and Prograis?
It's early, and I like Haney in the fight. However, I do believe that they could be overlooking some things, especially if you take into consideration how he performed in his last fight. You talk about guys, last week we were talking about how Charlo just fought himself out of 2 fights. Regis Prograis fought himself into a fight with Devin Haney. He didn't look too bad, but he sure as hell didn't look too good, and a lot of guys, it depends on, how you perform, depends on whether or not they want to fight you, and so I just think that Regis fought himself into a fight with Devin Haney. I think that Devin has I think he's the better boxer, skillful, talent, the whole nine. But when you are overlooking some things, you don't come to the ring ready to fire on all cylinders, you get caught by surprise. So I'd be willing to bet the surprise, but I think common sense says that this is a fight that Devin Haney is supposed to win.
Well, Chris, I know you have Regis at 3. Do you guys have any comments on Shawn's pick at number 3, Haney below Prograis?
No, I mean, this top 3 is literally by hairs. And to piggyback what Shawn was saying about Regis, because he's been at the weight. I mean, yeah, that's absolutely true. And I was thinking about having him at number 2. And really, number 1's not even that far-fetched. I'm not going to go into my number 1 yet. We'll talk about that when we get there. But I actually put Haney above him because, I mean, listen, name of the show is Who's the Man? And I think when they fight, I think Haney's going to win. And I think there's, like Shawn said, yeah, he's probably supposed to win. But I just think stylistically, Haney's a really difficult guy to deal with. His ability to box, and I say this time and time again, Devin's best ability is his discipline. And he's disciplined not only outside the ring to get in great shape, but he's really disciplined in the ring. He knows what he needs to do to win. He knows how to sway the judges just enough in each round, and he's fine with boxing to a decision, using the jab, staying long. Using his defense. And I think stylistically, when you got a guy like Prograis wants to bang, right? He wants to get you into a fight. He's very good standing right in front of guys. He gets in that low stance. He gets underneath shots. He's firing off that. He's very tough. He's very durable. He like the fight with Josh Taylor. That was a perfect Regis fight. They fought in a phone booth. They pushed each other. They were very, very physical. Great fight, back and forth. Taylor just outdid him that night. And that's the kind of fight that Regis excels in. And Haney's just not that guy. He's going to be moving, staying on the outside, using that long jab. He had some troubles in the last fight. I'm not giving too much weight to that last fight for Regis. Everyone's coming down on him and being like, oh, he's done. He's over the hill. This and this. I don't think so. I think he just had an off night. It happens. I think he's going to come with all guns blazing, but I don't think it's enough to beat Devin. I think the style matchup is really tough for Regis. That's why I have Devin ahead of Regis, even though he's not fought at the weight. But if there is a time for Regis to score the upset, this would be it. Devin's first fight at 140, dealing with the bigger man, the guy who's been there. And like Shawn said, he could be overlooking things because he's in his mind, he's stepping down to fight Regis because he's coming from Lomachenko. I just fought Lomachenko. Now I'm fighting Regis Prograis. So yeah, there could be some things left, some stones left unturned going into the fight. But I'm not giving, I give that fight. I'm very much looking forward to that fight, but I'm leaning towards Devin, so that's why I got him at number 2.
All right, well, yeah, everybody I'm sitting here waiting, like, George, you told Shawn, you got an outside pick at number 3. I was expecting like an outside pick out of mine, but go ahead, tell him my number 3 pick.
I love your pick, Paulie. Sandor Martin. I mean, he retired Mikey Garcia. A lot of people think he beat Teofimo Lopez. I love your number 3 pick. I didn't expect it, but I love that it's up there.
All right, so I like Sandor Martin. I think he's a dark horse. I think he's a guy who people avoid. And I'm also not going to be like my 2 colleagues here and just give away their list. So, if you wonder, I got him at 3, but I'm not going to tell anything about my 1 and 2 yet. Because I think it gets I can kind of build up to that. But for now, I'm going to go with Martin. I felt like he could have got that decision against Teofimo Lopez. He retired Mikey Garcia, and I feel like his schedule is already. He's probably fought tougher guys than Devin Haney has in his whole career. You know what I'm saying? A 100-year-old Gamboa and a 100-year-old Linares don't count for me. Lomachenko was a controversial decision. So I think Martin has already, just in those 2 fights alone with Garcia and Teofimo, really proved a lot in terms of belonging where he belongs. I also don't think that he's going to be sought after too much. He's not pushed as much as some of these other guys, although I think he should be. I think he can make for fun fights. And I'm not saying for sure he beats all these other guys, but certainly I'd love to find out, man. Every time this guy gets in there, he performs, and he performs well. And he fears nobody, and he's willing to fight anybody for the right price, right? So I think that Martin is the guy that's going to be overlooked, and I think if people can just push him a little bit more and mention his name a little bit more, we can see him in some of these other fights. Because I tell you, I don't think anybody's going to be jumping at the opportunity to fight Martin. And anytime I've seen him perform, he's performed well. So at 140 pounds, he's my number 3.
Well, it's too bad too with Martin because he's just disappeared since that fight. He's had.
We're in a scumbag business.
Yeah.
It's a scumbag of a sport, scumbag of a business, and you're probably not going to see him because I don't think anybody's going to be chomping at the bit to fight him here either. So eventually he's going to exit the whole ratings as it is to begin with, right? Even for me, because you're not going to see him. But you know what? The guy knows how to fight, and the guy will give you probs. And I'd like to see how far he can go, but I'm probably not going to get to find out, unfortunately. But I'd love to see how far he can go.
That's a scumbag of a pick. Haney was smoke, Sandor.
Well,
Teo struggled. Would never struggle again with it.
Let my list continue, Shawn, and then we can talk about the list.
we got not only 1 scumbag, we got 2 scumbags uttered in the first segment of this show. So we're off to a good start.
Like I said, I'm not giving away the rest of my list yet.
If you can get me to say scumbag in this show, then we got a different kind of show on our hands.
We just did it. So listen, we're going to take a short break. We're going to be back with more of Who's the Man in a quick minute.
Hey guys, make sure you tune in Wednesday night fights here on ProBox TV. We got great action fights, 50-50 matchups, and all-out wars throughout. We have consistently put on the best fights around.
Good fighters, great fights on your boxing channel with a star-studded cast bringing you the fight. Myself, Chris Algieri, the former world champion, and of course Mike Goldberg.
Make sure you tune in Wednesday night fights for all the action.
As Goldie likes to say, here we go.
On the next Wednesday Night Fights, October 18th, tune in to see Bulletproof Brandon Glanton clash with Demoledor Carlos Fromento Romero, and the hard-hitting co-main event, Mateo Tapia versus Eric Robles. live from the ProBox Event Center in Plant City. Get your tickets at ProBoxTV.com or take your chances at the door. Wednesday Night Fights.
We are back with Who's the Scumbag? I mean, who's the man? We are back with Who's the Man at 140 pounds. We're moving on to the number 2 pick. Now, Chris and Paulie, you guys both agreed. We'll start with you, Chris. Devin Haney is your number 2 pick. Why is that?
Yeah,
Chris?
I mean, for a lot of the things that I said, why I had picked Regis at number 3, I think they're both neck and neck. I would say, like I said, that Regis probably deserves it because he's been at the division longer. Devin's never been there. But again, this is Who's the Man. I think that when they do fight, I think Haney's going to win that night. So yeah, I got him at number 2. And just everything I said before. I mean, his style is very difficult to deal with. He's got that great discipline. I think that he's going to be around for a long time. He's young. He's learning. He's getting better. And he seems to be willing to fight the best guys out there. I mean, going right up to 140 and going right up to Regis, I tip my hat to him because a lot of guys would have avoided Regis and gone on other routes. Maybe a guy like Subriel Matias, who's very, very tough. Don't get me wrong, and a very dangerous puncher. But I don't think he's as dangerous as Regis. Regis is a really good fighter with not only a good power, but he's got good skills. So for Devin to go right at Regis, I think is shows something of where they're thinking. They're going to go. Looking forward. They're looking for only big fights. And yeah, so I mean, I think I said it all. I get like Paulie said, I gave it up when we were talking about number 3. So everything I said about Devin lands there and here as well.
Paulie, same pick. You've got Haney as number 2 as well.
Yeah, see, like I said, my list is gonna incrementally reveal itself, and it's kind of get the explanations come as I give it. So Haney's my number 2. I know he hasn't fought yet at 140 pounds, but he's also a guy who is shifty, is a guy who stylistically gives Prograis a lot of problems. I'm not going to reveal everything because I got to give you my number 1 first, but I feel like Haney also is a guy who's starting to, kind of come out of that shell, so to speak. I didn't feel really, no matter what his team said, no matter what they claim to say, I don't ever feel like he's been the most excited to fight the top fighters. They'll price themselves out of a fight, or they'll negotiate way too hard that nobody will agree. I mean, they got Lomachenko to agree. He had to give an extra $1 million on top of that, from what I heard. But whatever. At the end of the day, he didn't get that decision the way I would have liked to see him. And that was the fight that I wanted to see him blossom if I'm going to rate him. But still, nonetheless, I look at styles, and Haney's a very good boxer, has good legs, and it matches up well with some of these other fighters. Am I going to give him credit for fighting Prograis over Matias? No, I'm not. I mean, it's still great credit, though. But when you come from the undisputed title, you can't go fight the guy who sells you the sandwiches still. Now you got to actually step up. Or the guy who used to be a champion in 1995, but, you're going to claim you're going to fight him. You can't do that anymore, like you were doing before. So you got to, step in. And so you get credit for fighting Prograis, but you also kind of have to fight a Prograis. And Matias is a puncher. I always think, I remember the great Johnny Boz was a great matchmaker. He used to always try to avoid punchers if he could. And he used to say, it takes 3 years to make a fighter. It takes 10 seconds to ruin one. So, I don't blame them for going the Prograis route. Prograis is a little older. He looked a little suspect. I think if Prograis would have looked good, I don't think they'd have fought him. But he looks, so they are playing chess outside the ring, and that's fine. I don't have a problem with that as long as you're stepping up incrementally. And I feel like the Prograis fight is a title fight. They're stepping up stylistically. They match up well. I think if you start to come out of your shell and you start to do more of this, you're going to deserve to be on pound for pound lists. Right now, I don't know how anybody has this guy on any pound for pound list. He like I said, he beat 100-year-old Gamboa, 100-year-old Linares. Gamboa can't win a round ever since he beat Lopez, no matter who he fights, even though he got a decision against his last guy he didn't deserve. And Maxi. So you're proving ground kind of can come in the Prograis fight, really. And I'll explain that, because when you get to my number 1, then I can explain everything. All right, because I can't give you my number 1. I can't break down these total fights completely. I'll do all my talking after number 1. You guys did all your talking before number 3.
Well, Paulie, thank you for keeping this a list and not giving us everything in the beginning. So, Shawn, you have a surprising number 2 pick, which you changed on air in the first segment. But Teofimo Lopez, the consensus, most people have him as the top dog at 140. You've got him at number 2.
I got him at number 2. And again, I just have to reiterate that I've had Regis Prograis as my number one guy, dark horse at 140 for 2 to 3 years. Haney and Teofimo both, they've just gotten there, and I understand what Teo just did against Josh Taylor was a magnificent outing, practically flawless that night. And it's hard to be flawless in a 12-round boxing match, and he was dominant, and the list goes on. But when you take into consideration the fact that we don't know what he's going to do with his career, he's talked about retirement, then he's talked about I'm back, and he's topsy-turvy in a lot of ways. Kind of, for the second word, it's like he let go of everything that he was dealing with prior to his fight with Josh, handled his fight, and then now he's back to some of the personal outside of the ring issues, and of course some legal issues with contracts and things of that nature. He just really doesn't know where he's at. I haven't had a conversation with him, so I'm going on based on the last thing that I saw from him, and that was, I'm retiring. This sport is BS, and the list goes on. But in the ring, he is basically almost second to none in terms of ability, in terms of explosiveness, in terms of his IQ. The list goes on. I think he fits at number 2 again because Regis, I think, is the guy. I think Regis is the guy to beat. I don't think the guy to beat is Teo, nor is it Devin Haney. After we see Devin and Regis, then of course we can revisit that conversation. So Teo's my number 2.
What's funny, you're really only as good as your last fight, because as bad as Teo looked against Sandor, it's all forgotten now when he had that great performance against Josh Taylor. So that's why, Chris, your point about Regis looking so bad in his last fight, that was his last fight. Doesn't mean he's going to look like that in this one. All right, guys, we got the number 1 pick coming up next. The world is waiting in anticipation, even though some of you guys already gave away your number 1 pick. We've got new faces here at ProBox TV, new faces to the family. Let's take a look.
Man, it's an honor and a privilege to be a part of this beautiful panel, man, you guys got going on. Thank you. A lot of the fighters that I see that fight on ProBox, either they were on top at one point, got knocked off, and they're trying to rebuild. Then I see a lot of young little prospects that are coming up. It's for the diehard fans, man. People that just love watching boxing. All the matches are always competitive, and they put on great shows.
Hi, everybody out there. I'm Teddy Atlas here with ProBox. Everybody wants to follow somebody, wants to know who's the man, who's the guy, and there's a lot of good fighters out there. Go out there and just download ProBox app. If I could do it, I'm a caveman. Me and technology, we're not friends. But if I could do it, you could do it. And I guarantee you one thing, you're going to like it.
I don't know. Every time Teddy says he's a caveman, it just makes me laugh. But everyone, download that ProBox app, subscribe, become a part of these shows. You got champions here talking boxing every single day. All right, we're getting down to the number 1 man on the list. And Shawn, we'll start with you. Regis Prograis, he is your top dog at 140, the top man at 140.
I thought we were counting back. We went the wrong way. I thought we were going from 1 to 3. That's how I started the show, remember?
No, we started 3 to 1.
Yeah, my number 3 became my number 1, I suppose, right? How did that work out, right? Is that how it worked out?
That's how it worked out.
I can't count, and I'm starting to really show my true colors here, which is not good. But no, Regis is my number 1 guy. I think he has the ability to just get you off balance. He has the ability to make you guess wrong. And he's got some pop. I think at 140, and again, him being looked over and looked past for so long, I think it fuels him. It gets him up and gets him amped and ready for the big ones. To Chris's point, which is a big worry and concern that I have now about this Haney fight, Regis does like to get up on you. He likes to be close to you. And if he's not close to you, we saw this in his last fight. He can't punch and pursue at the same time. He doesn't really have the ability to punch his way to you. He needs you to be close in range, and that is a big concern, especially going against somebody who's so in and out like Devin Haney. Nonetheless, I think some of this pick is also because of respect. You know, again, seeing him at 140 for some time now, seeing him finally become a world champion at 140, and definitely been a fan of his for a long time. So, you know, this is just it's a biased pick. I'm gonna just go ahead and say that this is a biased pick. I am the most biased guy on this show today, and I'm a scumbag.
Everybody's a scumbag today.
We got another scumbag in there. Oh
we
man,
do a lot of biased shows anyway, Sean. Don't worry
Yeah.
about it. There's always somebody biased somewhere.
I'm like
This is
listening
boxing.
to myself, and I'm like, God, you just sound so
You're
biased.
selling it. You're selling it.
You're a scumbag. Just stop talking.
Okay.
These are opinion shows, so you know that's how
Exactly.
you feel. If you have a scumbag pick, you have a scumbag pick. It's okay. It's okay on this show. Paulie, your number one pick. You and Chris agreed. Your number one pick is Mr. Teofimo Lopez. Paulie, why?
Yeah, I mean, first off, I can go on by saying I think he has the best resume as far as top wins, and done impressively. He is Teofimo like a box of chocolates Lopez, though, because you just never know what you're gonna get. I mean, just like he can give you these spectacular performances and top level wins, he also gives you these lackluster performances against guys like Sandor Martin, and also the loss with Kambosos, which I think really hurts him. And ultimately, I think it hurts his ability to really be on the pound for pound list, because with the way he's performed, he's got a resume that some guys don't even get their whole careers. You know what I mean? He's got probably the only win over Lomachenko where wholeheartedly most people think he won the fight, or even everybody think he won the fight, including me. I thought I had it 7-5 Lopez. Then he's also he knocked out Comey when Comey was still dangerous. You know what I'm saying? Well, guy, I had to put him ahead of Haney for several reasons, and then one of them was because while Haney was claiming to fight everybody at lightweight, he was fighting dinosaurs. Well, this guy was still fighting dangerous fighters at lightweight, like a Comey, for example. You know, Comey was dangerous at the moment Lopez fought him. Lopez chose to make that fight, get the IBF title, and knock out Comey in impressive fashion. Then he gets to 140 like a box of chocolates. He's really unimpressive, lackluster against Sandor Martin. But what you got the unbelievable performance against Josh Taylor, who had been the winner of the World Boxing Super Series and had been terrific at the weight. And Lopez dismantles him, you know, like really looks terrific in doing so. So it's really I don't think it's a question here with Lopez. I think he's just done so much despite the lackluster affairs that he's had with Kambosos and Martin. I mean, the way he's beaten some top fighters, not just that he's beaten them, but the way he's beaten them, I think has been really, really impressive. Also, I got to address the fact that I don't have Prograis on the list, because now we've gone through my whole list, right? So I don't have Prograis on my list, you know? And I don't have Prograis on my list. Yes, you're as good as you're as good as your last fight, of course. I think Prograis is getting a little older. He is my number 4, but this is a top 3. And Prograis, in reality, also, I think struggles, like Sean said, struggles against guys he's got to close the gap against. And I think stylistically, Haney's legs are phenomenal and a big part of his boxing ability. And I think styles make fights. And I feel like no matter how good Prograis is and effective he's been, and he's been a world-class terrific fighter, I think stylistically it doesn't blend well. And I think Haney is a guy who's able to outbox that in the change of pace, change of distance, and having a terrific jab. And I feel like it's just a bad style for Prograis. He's not going to be able to win that fight, in my opinion. And that's why I ended up having Haney as my number 2, and Prograis is my number 4, which we don't have a number 4 here because it's a top 3.
Chris, Teofimo Lopez, he's your guy.
Yeah, I mean, and as much as, you know, obviously I've got Teofimo number 1, so does Paulie. As much as that he's my number 1, he could easily not be on this list at all for all the things that Showtime Shawn Porter was saying in terms of Teofimo's out of the ring. We don't know when he's going to be back. He's so unpredictable. The man operates in chaos. I've called a number of his fights. Fight week for him, it is manic. It is up. It is down. It is in. It is out. Before the Lomachenko fight, I'm like, this kid's going to get killed. And then he goes out there and he put on such a disciplined, amazing performance, pulls it out in the last round. I had him winning 7-5. I had it even going into that last round. And he pulls away by securing that 12th and final round. I mean, in an incredible performance. I was so impressed with him that night. I always knew he had the goods. When you mentioned the Comey fight, I had been working with Comey for a number of years prior to that, sparred with him countless times. The guy was good, very, very durable, could really punch. And I was calling that fight as well. And the way that I saw Teo change range and time that right hand, I was blown away. I was like, this kid is the goods. And so whether he's active or not, he's my guy, number 1. I think he's got everything. He's got the speed. He's got the skill. He's got the athleticism. He's got that judge of timing. He can pull the trigger like nobody in that division can. He is a super, super dangerous guy. And when he's disciplined, he's damn near unbeatable. That Taylor fight was a virtuoso performance. Like you said, Shawn, 12 rounds perfect against a very dangerous guy who gave hell to Regis Prograis and beat him. So, I mean, yeah, Teo's my guy. He's the number one. And we're talking about who's the man. Teo's the man.
But there you go. That's the list. And it's too bad Tim Bradley isn't here because his number one is Subriel Matias, which I think you guys would have shredded, but Tim's not here. So we'll have to talk to him another day.
You got to get him next
guys.
week.
Yes, absolutely. So that's who's the man for the 140-pound division, one of the best divisions in boxing. Make sure you subscribe to ProBox TV. ProBox TV is your boxing channel.